Today's content is all about Annihilape, and we're gonna showcase this Pokemon in 4 different team combinations so that you can understand more about this individual Pokemon but also be pretty competitive with it in Open Great League. So starting off with the first team here out of the total 4, and we're gonna showcase today not only these 4 teams. I'm gonna say these are the teams, just use them. Instead, I'm gonna analyze in depth those 4 teams so that you can have a better understanding of this Pokemon, the teams, and of course what you need to be afraid of so that you can strategize that throwback of yours into a huge advantage and of course withstand whatever your opponent is gonna throw and turn them into a huge victory. So starting off with the first team here, and we're having a Lantern up in front, followed up by Annihilape and Skarmory. So Annihilape here is just gonna emerge as a safe switch for this team, especially up against a grass type that you definitely have nothing to throw with your Lantern, while our Skarmory will emerge as a second anti-grass type. And yes trainers, Annihilape is gonna have access to Ice Punch to not one shot down but still deal nice super effective damage to that grass type. And what I like about this team in particular is Lantern up in front. Lantern can have a lot of soft matchups, which means that even a loss can be super soft, so that your Shadow Baller, your Annihilape can go in that new amazing Pokemon, farm down with some extra counters, and of course in the process either go for the Shadow Ball and the Nuke against whatever they bring you into the fight, or just with the Ice Punch, and of course you can get some quick work of your opponent's shields. At the end game, most probably they're gonna have nothing left, so your Skarmory is gonna be on a very good spot and absolutely finish off whatever remains at the back. As a core breaker, we have over here Trevenant, only because of its ability to be a grass type which can resist pretty much anything we can throw with our Lantern, and of course even though we got Ice Punch, it can still finish off with those Shadow Claws our Annihilape if we are not careful. However, with a little bit of synergy, switching out to your Annihilape, go with at least one Ice Punch, or just go ahead and finish it off with one Sky Attack with your Skarmory is gonna be your main way to go. So Trevenant definitely a core breaker, but not that much of a harsh one. Moving on, and we're meeting up with another huge team for our Annihilape. This Pokemon now is gonna be used on this particular team, still on the back line, but this time as a pure closer. So you need to utilize this Pokemon as a closer sometimes, and this team really makes the best out of it. The main reason for that is gonna be that we have 2 extremely bulky Pokemon, one up in front with that being Red Steel, and one at the back as a safe switch being that Mandibuzz. And of course by making those 2 getting all the work with the shields, either by using them as a punching bag or just simply go ahead and grab some shields from your opponent, you can have then the optimal scenario to close whatever battle you're gonna be in with your Annihilape. What I like about this team is the ability of Mandibuzz to aggressively switch into the battle, draw out the fairy type, so that then your Annihilape will just emerge victorious against whatever remains at the back, because if they throw that fairy type of theirs up against your Mandibuzz, most probably then your Red Steel will be on the optimal position and still finish off your opponents. Also, the Mandibuzz is gonna be pretty good against other Annihilapes, which are gonna be all over the meta of Great League for the very first few days at least, because a lot of people are gonna try to get their hands on it and of course use it right straight ahead on that format. As a core breaker here, I believe that Skeledritch is gonna do a lot of work because of its ability to be a fire type for our Metal Trash Can, while also carries the move Shadow Ball or the Disarming Voice for our Annihilape, and of course Disarming Voice being a fairy type can still do some decent damage to our Mandibuzz if we are not careful. So that's why it is a core breaker, and now let's move forward into the next battle. Heading now into a team composition that I think has 0 weaknesses at all. We're gonna use Annihilape this time up in front, while at the back both Lickitung and Bastiodon will emerge as a heavy backline once again, but this backline is severely weak to those fighters. What you want to do here is to aggressively switch in there with your Lickitung, draw out the fighter, do as much damage as you can, and sometimes, trust me when I say this, Lickitung can finish off the fighter, which is pretty great. They either have to sacrifice some energy to finish you off in return, or just go ahead and use some shields. That is absolutely awesome. And even if you fall short to that fighter, then your Annihilape can still go in, start farming down the crucial energy from the fighter, and most probably they're gonna be left with no other fighting option at the back, not even a ground type, I believe, I can guess, so that your Bastiodon will be on a very good spot to finish off whatever is not a fighting or a ground type Pokemon. And with that in mind, even against the neutral scenarios, your Bastiodon will emerge victorious because this Pokemon is extremely bulky, can provide some really high pressure damage with those smackdowns, and of course Stone Edge or Flamethrower, you pick it, you win it, and you can take that victory in the end. This team has a combination of fast attacks and charge attacks, pressure that you cannot find at any other team, and at the same time you have a complete amount of coverage for the entire meta. I recommend this team to you. I'm pretty sure that personally I will try it out, and perhaps I will make a separate video on it because of how strong this team is. But the video is not over yet. Let's see what we have for team number 4. This is the final team composition for today's content, and of course we're gonna use a triple counter. So this team is not the strongest out of the total 4 of this video, the previous one was, but this is definitely the most entertaining. We're gonna use a team full of counters, and of course counter is the best fast attack in the game in my opinion, so you can definitely make quick work of that, especially when you're having that amazing neutral Pokemon as a Vigoroth as a safe switch. Of course now with Annihilape coming into the game, Vigoroth is not gonna be that safe overall because whatever it throws is gonna be resisted by that Pokemon, but still I think that Vigoroth is gonna pull off the work pretty nicely here. We're having now Poliwrath up in front, an amazing option, able to debuff all the way the opponent either with straight Ice Winds or just go with the risky Scald but still the higher damage output. At the back, Annihilape will be left as the closer of this team, and this is the only team that I would consider having either Shadow Ball or just go for the close combat, because you definitely can nuke down your opponents. You do not need all the time Ice Punch, you already have Ice Wind and Rock Slide for those flyers, so for this particular team perhaps you need the double nuke as the closing part. I do not have it here, but feel free to use it if you feel spicy someday. You might wake up and you feel, haha, yeah, perhaps we can go for some spicy moves, let's go for double nuke on our Primeape. And yeah, this is no Primeape at all, this is an Annihilape which can absolutely destroy down your opponent if they are not careful. So even up against a Mantin, you can still rotate around your Vigoroth at some point, because first you need to debuff that Pokemon while sacrificing no shields at all, and this is the main key of this team. While it doesn't have a big bulky Pokemon to get those nukes on its back, you can still keep those shields for the end game, and your Annihilape will emerge victorious pretty much against whatever it will face because of its amazing coverage and its pretty unique typing. So that is gonna be all for today, trainers. Thank you for watching and for staying till the end. Just be sure to leave a huge like before you go, subscribe to the channel, and over here I have 2 videos for you to check out. Feel free to check them out, and I will catch you up later into the next one.